Hi. Well, today I'm not wearing my normal glasses, and I'm speaking in English. So this is no like part of the normal project, or at least the public is different. I wanted to acknowledge and to make some active statement previous to the boycott and with all of the stuff happening in Rotten Tomatoes right now with the 1-2 score, because I don't know. I found it important and wanted to put my grain of salt. The Some of the people in the boycott, at least, because it would be a mistake to think that there is just one kind of people in the boycott of episode 9. Some of the people uh, up front might not share my political ideas, or I might not share theirs. We're different. I might tend to agree far more often with the kind of stuff that the people loving this new Star Wars have. But still, I am not willing to let pass of bad storytelling or of the things they did. And so I am more than willing to join with all of these different people, because there are different people who are fighting against a real media empire. Ironically, this video is a proof of that. So yeah, the people up front, the boycott, they are very different actually. They are not all males, they are not all white. But let's pretend they are. I am, nonetheless, willing to give my hands, my mouth, to join in, because I believe in what they are fighting for. They're fighting for storytelling, not for other stuff. I am more than convinced that we are all fighting for storytelling and nice world and character building. And that's what Disney tries to suppress. The idea that we are fighting for something that has nothing to do with sexism or racism. It happened when I saw Alita a couple of weeks before it premiered in a press function. I loved it. And then I just saw that for some fun reason, the people that disliked The Last Year I loved it are for very different reasons, actually. And I realized that, yeah, we can love. Again, we're not what they're saying we are. We can love a fun adventure with a girl as a protagonist. She just has to make sense within her universe, which Alita does, or Furiosa does, or even Jean Erso does, even if she's not as well written as a character. Rogue One is amazing. Isn't that right? And then the Captain Marvel stuff started to happen, and I do consider it like a previous battle, like a very relevant previous battle to what is going to happen with 9. We cannot tell for sure at this moment if Captain Marvel is going to be a bad film. I can tell I don't really have an interest there. I would love to see a Kamala film rather than a Carol one. Unless it has Rogue. Because I grew up back then, and that's how I remember Carol. Like, yeah, Rogue. Taking Carol out. I recognize Marvel had problems, because the real cool characters are Susan Storm or Monroe, Rogue, Kitty Pryde, Jean Grey, Black Cat, and they had access to none of them. Still, they managed to make a more than fine work with Black Widow, except for that thing in Ultron when she's with Hulk. And they make a nice statement with Jessica Jones. I might not love the statement, but they actually accomplished to use film language, film construction to do what they wanted. And I guess I was just as mad when the head of that guy appeared as I was when they killed the girl with oil in his Quantum of Solace, because it's like a parallel of how things happen in a Bond movie. And yes, I'm sidetracking a little. I don't think Carol is such a charismatic character to begin with, and I think they can get things wrong with her. We don't know for sure. I just think that's the case. And if I had been asked, I would say, yeah, I'm not interested in seeing this film. And then they removed that option in Rotten Tomatoes, because also episode 9 was already open for that suggestion. So that's why it's relevant, because those two films are happening, and I cannot stop believing that it's Disney closing the semiotic sphere. Semiosphere? I might have a problem translating that in English. The semiosphere to just what they want. And these people in the boycotts, they are bringing noise, so to speak, to the circle that Disney has. And the noise they are bringing, I think it's quite valid. It's all about bad storytelling and bad character building. When I see episode 8 starting like, couple of hours after episode 7 closed, and still have a text scroll, that doesn't make sense for an episode of Star Wars. All of the 7 previous films, even The Force Awakens that I do not like, have like the text scroll because there is a gap in information. Revenge of the Sith does not have a gap of information because it has the Clone Wars, but if you do not see the Clone Wars, the old ones, then you have to fill that up. And that's very different in The Last Jedi. That's just the first problem Johnson has. And I do not need to go and see all of the problems the films have. That film especially. There are a lot of people who already did that, and did so successfully. And when they mark those things, it is not because they are racist or sexist. It's just because they have their own criteria. And it's not a bad criteria. There is a reason why all of these people from different backgrounds came out with the same conclusions. Don't you think that? I mean, I'm in Mexico. I'm not a guy who read every expanded universe stuff ever written. I knew about Mara Jade and Jaina and Jason, and I say, yeah, that could work. They're fans. They're bigger fans than me. And then you have my cousin. He bought like a lot of figures. He didn't read that much back then. Then he lost the interest, at least in keep buying figures. He went to The Force Awakens, loved it. Rogue One, ultra loved it. And then The Last Year, and he comes out and says to me, "You were right. They were doing it wrong. They were doing it wrong." There are like kids, and they're not into Star Wars. They're way into Marvel, not into Star Wars, and that should say something. That should say that there is there is a legitimate concern. What these people in the boycott are doing makes sense. They are breaking little by little the closed atmosphere that Disney is bringing, and I cannot stop believing that what they are doing now with Rotten Tomatoes follows that idea of closing the circle. I mean, I cannot understand. Again, Alita being badly reviewed when things like Iron Man 3 are super loved. Like, no, guys, Alita is a far better film. And it respects the place where she comes from. I mean, the manga, Ganma, far more. What's not to love? What's not to love? So, the end of this idea, the purpose, is just to acknowledge the people bringing noise to this awfully closed sphere that Disney is making, to endorse them, to keep them doing, to do as little noise as I can do with no followers, and just to the people in Twitter seeing this idea. And to get ready for an interesting year where hopefully we can break all of this narrative, all of this storytelling that is not happening within the films, within the works, but around them. And that's sad, don't you think? Don't you think we should have people patching up the plot holes in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi in the same way they are trying to patch up the efforts when their narrative fails a little? I would love to. I would love to. And that's all. I don't want to keep this long. I think it's quite long enough already. I would be seeing you guys when news arrive, and if I am invited into sharing this news. Otherwise, I'm gonna go keep speaking in Spanish in the current regular reviews. Do have a nice afternoon or a good night and good luck. May the force be with us.